Hi guys, happy Monday. So this weekend I finished two books, Big Fat Disaster by Beth Fehlbaum and The Thousandth Floor by Katherine McGee. And I went to the McAllen Book Festival, and I live about 40 minutes from McAllen, totally worth the drive because the McAllen Library is beautiful and amazing, and it has a cafe in it like mine. Anyway, so the first book I read was Big Fat Disaster by Beth Fehlbaum. Now, I'm going to get to the review in a second, but Beth Fehlbaum was a guest author in my library last Friday and came to talk to my students. And she is amazing and wonderful and hilarious and genuine. So if you read her book, and you should because it's awesome, she also wrote the Patience trilogy. So she's got 4 books out. They're all amazing. She writes like she speaks. So hearing her talk is like listening to her book. And it was really cool because she talked to my students about how writing was her therapy to help her. So, quick backstory, the Patience trilogy that she wrote is about a girl who is being sexually abused and she's 14. And Beth wrote this as therapy to her own situations with abuse. And so she wrote the novel and it was her therapy and it got her through everything. And it's great. So hearing her book talk her own trilogy was really cool. And so she talked to my students about how writing helped her get through her own situations. And then she wrote Big Fat Disaster, which is the one I finished. Y'all, I literally finished this in a day. Like, I started it Thursday night because I was like, I can't have this author come to my library and I haven't read her book. Like, that's rude. So I started it Thursday night and I was about 200 and something pages in when she got there, and so she's book talking her book, and I was like, no spoilers, I can't know what's gonna happen. And she didn't. She kind of gave a little bit away, but no more than where it was ruined for me. So Big Fat Disaster is about Colby, who is a fat girl, like big, huge girl. And in my head, when I imagined her, I didn't imagine her like huge because of the way she carries herself and she talks about herself. But when I was talking to Beth, I took her to lunch. It was really cool. She told me that she imagined Colby like 300-ish pounds. So, whoa. Now, Colby finds out that her dad is having an affair and is leaving her family. At the same time, her dad is running for Congress, or senator, sorry, running for senator. And the FBI tells her family that they have no money and have frozen their assets because her dad has been taking money from his campaign and that the money they used to buy their house is stolen money because he's also an investment banker. So, wham, bam, your family's just been broken up, you gotta move out of your house, and your parents are getting a divorce. Boom. And her mom, sorry if this offends some of you, her mom is a bitch. And the whole time is constantly giving her crap because she's so big and because she's fat. And her mom tells her things like, well, if you weren't so fat, this wouldn't happen. And if you could control your eating, then this wouldn't happen. And what I learned throughout the story is that Colby eats as therapy. She's a binge eater. And when she gets upset, she eats. Excuse me. So as the story progresses, you learn how her mom kind of favors her other 2 sisters over her. And so they have to move and go into a new town. And on the first day of school, Colby's trying to get dressed and put on pants. And her pants don't fit her. So, we do the wiggle dance and we stomp and we wiggle and we pull the zipper up. Well, while she's doing that, her cousin records her through the blinds in her window. Let that sink in for a minute. You're 16, going to a new school in a tiny little town. You're 300 pounds, and somebody records you not being able to get into your pants. And then he put it on Facebook. Yeah, so I did not blame her at all for being livid. So then Colby decides that she doesn't want to live anymore. It was really tough to read that because I loved her. I really, I couldn't relate to the character in, obviously in the eating disorder and the horrible mother, but you just feel for her. Like, she's just gone through so much crap and now this happens. Like, it's literally one after another, after another, after another. And this is Ochita. So, poor girl, this happens. And so she goes off in the middle of the road and decides to let an 18-wheeler hit her. And her cousin pushes her out of the way. And then they think, well, then her cousin dies. Sorry if that was a spoiler. Anyway, well, then people think that she pushed her cousin out of the way and tried to save him from killing himself. And nobody knows that that's a secret except someone that I'm not going to tell you. But this is, sorry, this is the first time that her mom has ever been proud of her. So she has to decide, is she going to tell the truth and be known as a liar? Or is she going to let her mom keep being proud of her? I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it is an amazing story. Like, I'm sorry. It is probably one of the best, like, quickest reads I've read. Kind of about coming to terms with your own issues. And she starts seeing a therapist who actually tells her mom, like, hey, she has her own issues, but they're because of you. So that was really cool, and I'm glad that her mom got put in her place because she's a bitch. Going on. That was Big Fat Disaster. Awesome book. And looky, I got it signed. So freaking cool. Thank you, Beth. So next, I finished The Thousandth Floor. Y'all, I've been waiting for this book to come out for months because I follow different publishers on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and it's terrible for my bank account. Look how gorgeous this is. Like, you open it up, and it's just rich, like, lavish ridiculousness. This book was beautiful, like, from the start. It came out last month sometime, and I got it in my library 2 weeks ago. I would not put it out on the shelves yet because I was like, no, mine, can't put it out. Must read first. It was awesome. So it's about 5 teens, Avery, Lita, Eris, Rylan, and Watt. And they're all rich, super rich, like beyond rich children, teenagers. And this takes place in the year, sorry, I don't know what's going on today. It takes place in the year 2118, so 2118. So a long time from now. And basically, New York has had this huge tower built into it where people live, and it's 1,000 floors. And up here at the top is where Avery lives. And basically, the higher up you live, the more money you have. The lower you live, the less money you have. So it's all these rich kids, and I could not relate to any of them, honestly, because I'm a librarian, and we're never going to be rich. We don't do it for the money. But these kids have these secrets. So it starts out that Avery has this deep, deep secret that I'm not even going to tell you because you're like, when you find out, like, she's in love with someone and it's unrequited for a while. And then there's Lita, who is a recovering drug addict who just came out of rehab, and doesn't let any of her friends know that. And then there's Eris, A-R-I-S, not Eris, like air. And the day that she turns 18, she signs all these papers so that her dad can give her her inheritance. Finds out she is not her dad's daughter. So then her mom comes clean and says that she had an affair, and they move from the 900th floor to the 130th. Yeah. And then she finds out who her real dad is, and that's a mind trip. Then there is, sorry, Rylan. Rylan is not a rich kid. Rylan lives on the, I don't know, like below the 100th floor, and is a poor kid. You know, she's had to deal with being poor her whole life. This is nothing new to her. But something happens where she gets to experience life up there. And she never really decides she wants to be a part of it. She likes living where she does, but sorry, but it changes her a lot. And Rylan's parents are dead, and she only has her sister who she has to take care of. So everything she does, she has to think about that through. And her boyfriend is a drug dealer who gets thrown into jail, and then she has to deal with, does she want to help him get out of jail, or does she want to continue living without him? And the last teenager is Watt. He was probably my favorite because he's a huge dork. And Watt has made a quant computer, which means it's like crazy and illegal. And he hasn't just made it. He makes it itty bitty teeny tiny and installs it in his brain so that no one can take it from him. And he names it Nadia. Now, the whole point with these computers and them being illegal is that when they get to a certain point, it's totally like the movie AI, where they start to think for themselves. And he has conversations in his head with his computer, Nadia, which I thought was really cool because they have a really good banter, and it's kind of cool how, like, his computer is talking to him, but his computer also helps him get into situations that aren't so good for him. Like, he finds out who Avery is in love with and who that person is in love with. All the while, Lita is in love with the same person Avery is, and it's an issue. And Lita is a little bit crazy stalker. Mind you, she is a recovering drug addict. Does not give a crap about anything because her world just starts falling apart. And when she learns that Watt can do these things like hack, she uses him. And at one point, Watt he's a super cute little nerdy guy who lives on like the 400th floor. Like, he's a good kid. He's trying to get into MIT, and he is in love with Avery. Like, now the thing about Avery is she's perfect. Her parents took her genes and basically made her, and they made her perfect. And every time they describe her, all the author says is that she's beautiful, and she's the most beautiful thing that anyone has ever seen. And Avery hates it, hates being called beautiful. So it's a really good story. Anyway, so Watt's a dork who gets taken advantage of, and he's just a nerd. Like, poor thing. I really liked him. He was really funny, really dorky, and I really, I really liked all of the characters. Granted, I'm not rich in any way, shape, or form, but they were all very relatable because they had really human issues. And the story starts, the prologue talks about a party happening, and I'm just going to read you a really quick part of it that says, and then a scream cut abruptly through the silence as a girl fell toward the ground, her body falling ever faster through the cool pre-dawn air. In just 3 minutes, the girl would collide with the unforgivable cement of East Avenue. But for now, her hair whipped up like a banner, the silk dress snapping around the curves of her body, her bright red mouth frozen in a perfect O of shock. Now, in this instant, she was more beautiful than she had ever been. Y'all, literally, first page opens with someone falling from the top of the 1000th floor all the way to the ground. Smack. Dead. And it literally takes you until the end of the story to find out who died. And the whole time I was hoping for this one person to be the one who died. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be her. It has to be her. Like, she's evil. It has to be her. Like, it has to be her. It's not her. Spoiler alert, it's not her. And it's really unfair who it is. But it leaves on the best cliffhanger I've ever read. Seriously? Oh my god. Like last page in, and you're like, no, it can't end like this, no! And then cliffhanger, like, bam! It was awesome. Like, that's all I have. It was awesome. It's beautiful, and it's really, really cool. Like, I know that I would live at least under the hundreds, because I could never afford to live way up there with all those people. But it's really cool to imagine in your head and see the way they see things now. Like the way that the teens look back on things that we have now. Like, they think cars are super dangerous because we drive them, and they all have hover cars that are manually driven or autopilot-y driven. But it's really, really cool. I mean, Katherine McGee had to have spent years imagining this, and if she didn't, then whew, she's my hero. But it was so good. Oh my god. Get the ebook or get the book now. I don't care if you're a girl or a guy, you need to read this book. It is the best adventure I have read in a while. Like, I could not put it down. It was awesome. Everybody needs to read The 1000th Floor by Katherine McGee. I don't care who you are, read the dang book. And also, read Big Fat Disaster, because it's not about rich kids, but it's about dealing with crap on your own and having to face the truth and face your own demons and be who you are and be proud of who you are, because, like Beth says, you deserve to be loved for who you are, the way you are right now. And with that, I'll see y'all later. Have a great evening. Bye.